Hey everybody, Jesus Ramirez here from the Photoshop training channel. And actually, let me get the microphone closer to me. I just heard on my headphones that you guys probably couldn't hear me. But anyway, hello once again. Here we are at our Friday YouTube Live. What I'm going to do in this video is show you a couple of tips and tricks with layer masks. And then I'm going to do a critique on a composite that somebody submitted. So yeah, that's what we'll be doing today. Before we get started, I want to give some time for people to join the live stream so they could, not miss anything. So I wanted to show you one thing that I just saw on Facebook, which is this. So Photoshop just gave us a sneak peek on the curvature pen tool, which is coming to Photoshop pretty soon. So let me turn the volume down so it doesn't really bother you as I play it, but I'm not going to play the whole thing, but it's just a sneak peek on the new pen tool that will be available in Photoshop. Pretty cool. So if you're interested, just go to the Adobe Photoshop official page on Facebook and you can watch the video. And the person presenting is Meredith Stotzner, who is a friend of mine. She's a Photoshop product manager, so check her out and see what she has to say about the new pen tool. But anyway, so that's what's going to be coming out in a future release of Photoshop. So let me get this out of the way and let me see if people are starting to come in. And yeah, people are saying, hey, hello from the Scottish borders. Hello. Hi from Hungary. Hi. Thank you. Thank you. People are saying that they like the video. So yeah, thank you so much for being here and for watching. I'm going to give a few more minutes for people to join. And there's people from Dubai. Hello. For those of you that don't know, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, United States. Also, I just want everybody to, oh, hi from Wales, Romania. Awesome. Yeah, so we're getting people from all over the place. I just hope people in Houston and Florida are staying safe. And also Mexico City, there was a big earthquake, I believe last night. So if you're from any of those places, just stay safe out there. I know there's a big something going on in, I believe, Florida right now. And sorry, I'm really not up into the news as to what the details are, but I do know that there's a big hurricane, I believe. So yeah, stay safe out there if you're in that part of the world. But anyway, I think we have enough people so that we can get started. So I think you guys can see my Photoshop screen, and I just want to show you a couple layer mask techniques that you may or may not know. They're just quick tips, and then we'll move on into the critique that I have. So when you're working with layer masks, sometimes you may create a mask. So this person here is in a white background, and I created a mask, masked them out, and placed them on that parking lot background. So what that means is that I just created a selection using a quick selection tool, masked them out, and I thought the selection was good, but then a lot of times the eye could deceive you, and they could be pixel fragments all around them that you may not see. So this trick is just to show you how you can spot those pixels and how you can remove them so that you have a much cleaner selection. So we have this layer here, and as I said, he's masked out already. But if I double click to the side of the layer to create a stroke, you can see all these fragments, all these pixels that are still around them. So you can just apply that stroke, and with the brush tool selected, you can paint with black, go into the layer mask, and you can start painting away those stray pixels. So a lot of times you just have all these tiny little pixels that you can't see, and they're just little fragments that are left over from when you created the mask. So it's just a good idea to create that stroke, go in there, and just mask those out so you can have a much, much cleaner selection. And a lot of the times you can't really see them. For example, here, you really can't see them, but they're there. So, I mean, if you want to just have a perfect selection, that's what you would do. Sometimes it's not necessary, especially if you can't see it, but they're still there. So sometimes it may make a difference, sometimes it may not, but this is just a technique on how to find those stray pixels and how to get rid of them. So that's the first tip that I have for you today. The second tip that I have is on layer mask as well. And in the properties panel, when you have a layer mask selected, you actually have access to two sliders that not a lot of people use. Density is the one on top. And density, you can think of it as a opacity slider for the layer mask. So notice the layer mask here at the bottom. Notice how it's completely white when the density is at 0%. So technically that's bringing down the opacity of the mask down to 0. At 100%, you can see that the mask shows as it was drawn. So the background is black and the subject is white. And of course, there's different levels of gray that would represent different levels of luminosity, or different levels of transparency, I should say. So there it is. You can see that in the preview here on the layer mask. And then we have a feather slider, which a lot of you may know what that is. It just makes the edges of the selection blurrier. And if I hold Alt, Option on the Mac, and click on the layer mask, you can see how those sliders affect that layer mask. So you can use these sliders to further refine your layer masks. And this is what the density looks like. So keep these two sliders in mind when you're working in Photoshop, because they may become very useful in some situations. And I'm just checking the comments to see if there's any relevant questions. And yeah, it seems like we have people from all over the world: Romania, Mississippi, Israel, England, India, more people from Romania, Afghanistan, and Brazil. Awesome. Yeah, thank you everybody for spending some time with me here on this Friday morning for me, but it may be Friday evening for you. So yeah, thanks. And by the way, my birthday's tomorrow, so I don't know what I'm doing yet. Today's September 8th, and my birthday is tomorrow on September 9th. But anyway, the next thing that I'm gonna show you also deals with layer masks, but it's sort of different. A lot of people were not very happy a year ago when Photoshop introduced the selected mask workspace. So when you double click on a layer mask, it brings you up into this workspace that you can adjust your layer mask. I personally like it, but a lot of people don't. So if you're one of the people who doesn't like this new selected mask workspace, you can bring back the old one by using a keyboard shortcut. So with a selection or layer mask active, you can go into select, hold shift, and click on select and mask. And this brings up the old refine mask window. As I said, I like the new one, but if you like the old one, this is another way of, or this is the only way of bringing back the old window to refine your selections. Oh yeah, thank you for people are saying happy birthday to me. Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, so those are the 3 tips that I had for you on layer mask today. Let me know if you have any questions regarding these tips or any other quick questions that I could answer. And one of the questions says, will this tutorial be available to view at a later time? Yeah, so this will be posted on my YouTube channel as soon as I'm done. So that will be, it takes some time to render, but usually within like 30 minutes or so after stopping the video, or the live stream is when the video gets posted onto the YouTube channel automatically. So you'll be able to see it there. But yeah, anyway, so if you have any questions, let me know. If not, then I'll move on to the critique. For those of you who follow my newsletter, who signed up for my newsletter, then somebody said you fooled Kim, years of bad luck. I don't know what that means, but okay. What is the best way to select an image against grass background? For example, a woman with lots of hairline on the ground. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, I don't have those images to answer that question, but the question is essentially, how can I remove a person with a busy background, especially if they're lying on the ground and their hair is touching the ground? In a lot of situations, you're not going to be able to make a perfect selection because there's no contrast between the foreground and background color. So you're going to have to do 2 things. You're going to have to disregard part of the hair, or you're going to have to paint in some of the hair digitally. So, you know, if you have a Wacom tablet, you might be able to paint it in. I guess another option would be to composite in some hair, either from another photo or another part of that same person's hair that you were able to mask out. So keep that in mind. A lot of times it's very difficult or impossible to mask out things that don't have contrast between the foreground and background that they're in. But yeah, so somebody says that they always have, it says, I always have problems. And actually what I'll do is something I did last time, which is I'm gonna bring out the chat so that you guys can see it, simply because I know that once the video gets posted onto YouTube, these comments don't appear and people who are watching the recording don't really know what I'm talking about. So this person said, I always have problems with the hair. Pieces of the background remain and I end up cutting the hair. Yeah, so that's actually what you're supposed to do. You're never going to be able to get a perfect selection if there's no contrast between the background and the foreground. So yeah, cut away the hair. People really won't know that the hair was there to begin with. And if it's an important part of the hair, as I said, you can paint it back digitally, or you can use another piece from another part of that same person's hair or from a different photo. Says, can you explain where to find the brush that removes edges without altering them? I added a, well, I mean, so, I mean, there's, by definition, when you're using a brush, you know, you're altering edges and you're altering things. So I'm not really sure what you're specifically asking with that question. All right, well, creative spirit. So what about morphing clothes on someone, warping a shirt? Well, see, that's a whole different topic. I'm not sure if it's worth me getting into it just because I don't have the images to show you, and I could, you know, ramble on for like 20 minutes and you might not really know what I'm talking about. But if I mean, just to give you a very, very short answer is the I've done a similar job like that actually, but what I did is I actually had to have a model go stand in the same position, same lighting, and take a photo of them and then match it to the photo that I was trying to match it to. So that's the easiest way because you do need the body contours and shadows and all of that to match. So yeah. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, so the selected mask um, window and how to bring that back by holding shift. Yeah. But anyway, so I'll go ahead and I'll start doing the composite review as I was saying earlier, and I really didn't finish telling you. On my newsletter, I sent out an email, and it basically asked people that if they were interested, they could send in their composites, and I could take a look at them and give them my opinion. So only one person last night submitted something, so I'll review that one and give them my thoughts and opinions, and you know, just my own 2 cents. So we'll look at it together and we'll see. I think this is the photo. Let's see. Yep, that's the one. So that was submitted by a lady named Carol Lang, and I guess I'll zoom in just so that we could see it. And that's a composite there. I believe she said it was 3 photos, and I'm assuming the 3 photos were the background, the woman, and the bird. And right off the bat, the biggest things that I noticed, I wasn't sure if it was because the person compressed the file and then emailed them to me, or that's how the file looked originally. So some of these comments may not be relevant if their original file is of a better quality. So things like here, I don't know if you could see it on the video or on the stream, but this stuff here looks really, really weird. So if that's part of the original image, I would consider fixing that somehow. But in regards to compositing, sort of what we're talking about now, a little bit, the masking is a little bit off. You can see that this person had trouble with one of the things we were just discussing, which is masking the hair out of the background that it's in. So what it looks like to me is that they sort of faded the original layer into the background. So what I would have recommended instead would be to either disregard the hair if it's too difficult to mask out and then just paint hair strands using a Wacom tablet, or finding another part of the hair that um, is easier to mask in and just composite that into this part of the hair. Another thing when you're masking is you don't necessarily have to mask the entire image as a whole. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can just mask the face and body and all the easy areas, and then just worry about the hair in a completely different layer. So you can make a selection around the hair and then do something like Control J, Command J on the Mac to duplicate, and then just worry about masking that part, and that'll probably make it easier in some cases. and then you just bring in the hair to match the rest of the body. So there's also something going on in this part of her chest. I'm not really sure if this is how the original image looked, and you know, she was at a weird angle. I don't know, but it just looks really weird. So again, I don't know if this is part of the composite or part of the original image, but I would probably work on fixing that somehow. It just doesn't look very natural. It doesn't look very real. And again, a little more work on the edges of the masking is what I would work on. Also on this bird, I see two problems right off the bat. So, and I'll actually bring the layers panel so that I could show you. So a trick that I like using when I'm compositing is create a black and white adjustment layer, just so that I can make sure that the luminance values of the entire image is cohesive. By removing the colors, it's easier on your eye to see those inaccuracies. So you can sort of tell that the bird has more contrast than the model and the background, so it sort of makes it seem like he's not really there. So if I really quickly just go into like maybe curves, and I'll delete the layer mask so I can create a new one, and I'll quickly create a selection around this bird, and let me make sure I'm on the right layer. So I'm gonna quickly select this bird, and I know it's not gonna be perfect, but hopefully it illustrates what I'm talking about. Okay, so I just selected the bird almost, it's not very good, but I think it'll do a good job. So anyway, so I have my bird selected, and I can just brighten up that bird just slightly and maybe adjust some of these points. But anyway, so you'll see that's the before and after, and if I disable the black and white adjustment layer, you can sort of see how the bird looks a little bit better. Obviously it needs a little bit more work, but the point is that originally it just wasn't matching the scene because it was the dark pixels were just too dark for the rest of the scene. So that's one of the things that I would work on. And remember that trick, just create a black and white adjustment layer on top of your composite, and you'll sort of see things popping out that you didn't see before. Another trick would be to zoom out like about right there, just get a thumbnail. And in this case, everything looks pretty good. The bird is so small that you really can't see it here. But assuming that the problem was the woman, not the bird, you would see that she would be much brighter or much darker than the rest of the scene, and that might be a clue. So in this case, looking at it this small doesn't really reveal anything, but a lot of times it would. So you can zoom back in and see what else is, well, we can work with this image. Oh, another thing that I just noticed is if this bird were really standing on her, it might have darker contact shadows. I mean, it looks like they're there, but again, I don't know if this is the compression from the person when they emailed me the photo, and maybe I just can't see it, and maybe they're there. But obviously, there's a strong light source coming in from somewhere because we can see it on her body, and that means that there will be shadows on her fingers and probably darker than what we have there. Also, I would work on distorting the claw here, these claws, and try to make it seem more like he's like grabbing onto to her finger. So you can distort that a number of different ways using Puppet Warp or maybe Liquify or something like that. And also, she's got a lot of highlights on her face and her body and her arm and all of that. I would probably try to fake that on the bird. One way in which you could do that is maybe by using an exposure adjustment layer, increasing the exposure, and then inverting it to black, and then just painting in with white on some of those, parts of the bird, different areas. Obviously, spend a little more time and adjust it accordingly, but try to match the lighting of the scene that it's already shown by that woman there. So let me go ahead and look at the comments and see if there's anything that you guys are saying or asking about this. Creative Spirit, to answer your question, where do I send my composites on your Instagram? Yeah, sure, you can send it to me through there if you like. The way that I specifically asked for this live stream was on my newsletter. I send out an email when I release a new tutorial. So when I released my new tutorial on, I think it was yesterday or Wednesday, whenever that was, then I asked people if they had a composite, they could send it in, and I would talk about it during this live stream. So yeah, feel free to send it to me on Instagram, but it's easier for me on just replying an email with an attachment. And again, that's the email newsletter that I send out. So if you haven't subscribed, you can go to my website, photoshoptrainingchannel.com, and just put in your email and you'll receive an email notification every time I put up a new tutorial. Somebody says that they're unable to use dodging and burning in that part. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. Hey, Andrew, that's Andrew Kavanagh from the Photoshop and Lightroom group. Check him out on Facebook. If you go to Facebook and just type in Photoshop and Lightroom, you'll see his group is, if I'm not mistaken, is the largest Photoshop and Lightroom group on Facebook. So check him out there. He's got a whole bunch of people, and I think I'm going to be doing a live presentation for Andrew, if I remember off the top of my head, next Thursday, Andrew. Maybe you can confirm in the comments, but yeah. Okay, guys, so let me know if you have any other comments or questions regarding this composite. And for the person who submitted it, which is Carol Lang, thank you so much for submitting your composite. Those were the biggest issues that I saw that you could probably improve on. If you have any other comments or questions, feel free to email me and I'll be happy to answer them. And again, thank you for letting us use your composite for this live stream. And for those of you who are interested in more composite critiques, then I probably will be doing 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 when I do my live streams. So make sure that you pay attention on my newsletter when those will be and when you can submit them, and I'll be happy to give you my thoughts. And yeah, so I'll bring the comments back so that you can see. So Andrew said, thanks for the group shout out. Yes, on Thursday. So that's next Thursday, which will be September 14th. You're welcome, Tracy. So yeah, September 14th, I'll be doing a live stream for Andrew's group, and it will be nothing but Photoshop, so no reviews there. But yeah, if you guys have any comments or questions, then let me know. And if not, then it was great talking to you this Friday morning for me, and maybe Friday evening for you. So I hope you're having a great day, and thank you so much for all your support. Before I let you go, I do want to plug a couple things. So let me bring up my browser here so I could show you. I'm speaking at 2 conferences. The first one will be in 2 weeks in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I'll be speaking at Pluralsight Live, which is going to be a conference on technology. And I'm actually not talking about Photoshop in this conference. I'm talking about just design and where I think it's going, and about being connected in this world and how that affects designers. And as you can see, there's going to be a lot of interesting people there, you know, former athletes, the former first lady, so a whole bunch of interesting people, and then me. So I don't know how I got involved with this group, but I'm glad that I got invited. So I actually have to thank you guys for your support, because I'm sure that without your support on my YouTube channel, they probably would not have me on here. But in either case, I'm very grateful to you. I'm very grateful to them. So if you're going to be in Utah and you want to see my talk, then I'll be there September. I think my talk is on September 21st, and there I am. So yeah. And the second conference that I'm doing will be in, well, not the second one, the last one of the year, I guess I should say, would be Adobe Max, which is Adobe's largest conference of the year. I believe last year we had close to 11,000 people attending this conference, and I'm going to be one of the speakers here. And there's going to be a whole bunch of, again, well-known people like John Favreau and a whole bunch of other people. But anyway, so in here I'll be doing a lot in this conference, actually. I'm going to be teaching 5 classes, and I will also be doing workshops on the show floor and a couple videos for different companies. So yeah, I'm going to be pretty busy. But if you're going to be at Adobe Max, then check me out. And actually, I was looking for my photo and I can't find it. There I am. I'm under creative imaging, and you'll see a whole bunch of people you know, like Corey Barker, Lisa Carney, my good friend Glenn Dewis is going to be there, Sean, me, obviously, AJ Wood from Adobe, so a whole bunch of people. And then one of my good friends, Colin Smith, will be there. There he is, and Julian Cost. And another one of my good friends that I don't know where his picture is, but Mark Heaps, he will be there as well. And you probably have seen Mark before. Mark and I are good friends and we travel a lot. So he was with me in Australia speaking at that conference in Adobe, and there he is. And he also went to the presentation we did together in Mexico City. So yeah, so I travel a lot with Mark. So one of my best friends. So check him out if you're at Adobe Max. He's probably one of the best presenters I've seen. But yeah, so those are the things I wanted to plug, and the usual things I want to plug are my Instagram account. So Instagram at JR from PTC is my Instagram. So if you haven't followed me there already, then please do so. Also, I want to give a shout outs to my good friends at Adobe for sending one of these hovering art directors, and they're really, really funny. They just say like really random things to help you stay motivated throughout the day. So they say, I'm going to turn it on so you can hear it.
It feels too designed. I like where this is going, but let's just start over. That's not finished, is it?
So as you can see, it just says really funny things to keep you motivated, if you will. But yeah, so thanks to the Adobe stock team, especially my friends Dinah and Sandria from the Adobe stock team, who I will see at Adobe Max, I think. I hope they're there. But anyway, let me see if you guys have any more questions. If not, then I will see you next time. And I'm just scrolling through the comments here. Yeah. Okay, somebody asked how to make a realistic contact shadow. I'm not going to really answer that now just because it takes too long, but I will show you one of my videos on YouTube that I think I talk about that. A lot of times I forget what I talk about. I don't know if it happens to you, but I rarely remember what I say, and sometimes I have to go watch my own videos to um, to see what I'm talking about because I forget all the time. And sometimes I watch videos that I did, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So I learn from my videos too. Let's see. So that video that I'm talking about with the content, actually, I think I did it at Adobe about 2 years ago, and I think I might have talked about this during the last live stream. But I'm looking for, oh, here we go. So it was 2 years ago, and it's called Compositing Techniques Live Presentation at Adobe Headquarters. So I talked about contact shadows and how light works and all that stuff. So you can check that out. Somebody said, do I know any leaks for any new features for Adobe Max? I actually already used the new version of Photoshop, and it's pretty cool, but that's all I could say. Let's see. Somebody said that I should do a live show for their Creative Cloud live show under Adobe Live website one of these days. I already did two actually. I don't know how I'm gonna find the link, but I did a couple with Paul Tranny, who is one of the evangelists, and I'm trying to think how can I show you that link because I know it went up on YouTube. So I mean, I'm sure you could probably find it on the Creative Cloud YouTube page, but I did 2 3 hour streaming things with them. So yeah, so I've already done two. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for spending 28 minutes with me on this Saturday morning. So I hope you're doing, or excuse me, Friday morning. Wow, I'm already skipping a day. I hope that you're doing well, and I'll be talking to you soon. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great weekend. Talk to you later. Bye bye.